Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to be live today with Kelly, Kelly Kingsland. And Kelly is a transformative feminine energetics mentor, Reiki master, and teacher, hypnotherapist, ordained metaphysical minister, and an international best-selling author. With a foundation in psychology and lifelong dedication to learning, Kelly blends her diverse skills to offer a truly unique approach to personal and professional empowerment. Kelly is truly a trailblazer in this area of empowering high achieving women to redefine success on their own terms. And Kelly is here to share the groundbreaking insights and strategies tailored to women entrepreneurs, high level executives, and those navigating life transitions. All those women who are members or guests of Executive Encore who love this kind of topic and want to learn more. So, Executive Encore is for women who are going through transitions from the age of 40 through to 70 and beyond. So, we recognize there are many transitions through that period. And Kelly's going to be able to speak to all of them because feminine energy is something that is finally being valued. And I think we're going to have a great conversation today about what feminine energetics is. So, Kelly, thank you for coming on today. It's a real pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Kelly, could you please explain what feminine energetics is?
Yeah, of course. So, feminine energetics is the energetic blueprint that every woman is born with. Everyone is different. No two are the same, but we all share similar traits in that energy.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, feminine energy tends to be more collaborative, it tends to be more nurturing, it tends to be more group focused and more relaxed, more, to the back a little bit, as opposed to masculine, which is very much push forward, let's go, hustle, that sort of thing, very independent. So, because women are just born with these traits, we tend to lose them or not use them enough
Mm-hmm.
in the workplace, especially when you're in corporate or business, because the whole idea of corporate right now is very patriarchal. It is very masculine based. And women tend to try to work in the same manner as their male counterparts.
Mm-hmm.
And that isn't necessarily in our best interest.
Mm-hmm. 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 So, why is it so vital for professional women to recognize that they may be adjusting their own energy to work within an organization, like a large organization, even the world, okay, when the masculine energy is so prominent? Why is it so important for professional women to recognize that that's important that we keep our feminine energy?
Because when you get too far into the masculine energy, you tend to become off balance. Your energy begins to suffer. You begin to display traits of burnout. And you're not working in alignment with who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And by anchoring into more of the feminine aspects, it actually makes it easier to work. So you're still achieving these goals. You're breaking the six figures, you're getting those promotions, but it's easier for you to do. You don't have to work all these extra hours because when you're working in a way that is more in tune with who you are, it's easier to get things done faster.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Are there some practical ways that women can incorporate their feminine energetics into their daily lives and their professional lives?
Of course. So, one of the big things in feminine energetics is intuition.
Mm-hmm,
Everyone's heard of women's intuition, mother's intuition.
mm-hmm,
And with your intuition, it gives you, when you're really in tune with it, it gives you the ability to just know things.
Mhm.
And the men don't have that.
Mhm.
They can develop intuition, of course, anyone can, but ours is natural. And you need to build it so that you're really in tune with it, so that when it's speaking to you, you know. So when you come into a room, just by looking at someone, you'll know if it's someone that you can trust or someone that you can't trust. Someone
Mhm.
that you're like, you'll know within a first couple minutes if it's someone that's in line with you or not. And
Mhm.
that can make your job a lot easier because you'll know who you're going to work better with, who you're going to have, maybe butt heads with, and who is going to challenge you.
Mhm. I'd like to go back to that mother's intuition because, of course, yesterday in the UK and in Canada, and the United States, I believe, it was Mother's Day. So I did a little bit of research for a blog that I was writing, and I was amazed at how powerful it was explained, like the power of it, how mothers, and I'm sure women in general have, you don't need to be a mother to have this sense, but to protect or to know that something is off. Okay.
Mhm.
So that's how it was. The definition was the ability to, and the power of being able to recognize when something is not right. But however, we don't always listen to that. Like you said, listen to your intuition because, we might have a sensation like a hit in the gut or something like that. But sometimes society and the workplace and that sort of battles against intuition. It says, "Oh, no, that's not true." In a way, it's gaslighting as well, right? But they say, that's not true. That's not the way it is. But it's interesting how powerful when we use that intuition, women's intuition, mother's intuition, how we could actually um, protect more and nurture more. And that is something that is really needed if you're working in a team environment in an organization. So, do you have any more to say about that? Like, I'm pretty passionate about that mother's intuition, given that yesterday was Mother's Day.
Well, you know what? You're 100% right. Mother's intuition, it's one of the strongest things ever. I have 2 kids. I know something's going on with them before they do. And my mother was the same with me. She knew I was pregnant before I told her.
Oh,
Like, you have that intuition and you listen to it, but it's a matter of learning to listen to it.
yeah, yeah.
And sometimes women can actually have blocks. So if they have been through some sort of trauma or have been told growing up that it was, not something that was real or what have
Mm.
you, and that's where the hypnosis would come in.
Oh,
Because when there's subconscious blocks that are stopping a woman from connecting with her feminine energy, trusting her intuition, pushing to get to the next level, that there's like this glass ceiling inside their subconscious. And that is where the hypnosis can come in because it's the best thing for releasing blocks that you're not even aware you're carrying.
mhm, mhm,
So it
mhm.
all kind of works together.
Um, I'm thinking about a time when I was working with a spiritual coach, and we went through this exercise of me envisioning the women in my life and my foremothers being together, not in a cabin, but around a fire, an open fire, and speaking and listening to each one of them. Okay, so it wasn't exactly hypnosis, but it was my opportunity to have a conversation and pick up on the intuition within the group of those women, my ancestors, right? And I think that's really important because I did also read in my research that it's in our DNA. So
Mhm,
we bring that DNA down from, say, our mothers and from our grandmothers, and we bring it into our lives. And that sets our intuition as well, makes it very powerful.
mhm.
So, would you say that that's part of the success of women who work together, network together, build their networks of women business owners, and they do so much better. Would you say that? Okay.
Yes, because you know what? When women work together, we're unstoppable.
Mhm.
We can accomplish anything. I always joke that if we ever want world peace, we just need to get a group of women together in the room. They'll have it all figured out. But when you're working with your ancestral DNA, your ancestral patterns that you are bringing forward, what you went through was a meditation, basically.
Mhm.
Meditation and hypnosis are very, very similar.
Mhm.
They both adjust the brain waves that you are in.
Mhm.
Um, there is something called past life regression hypnosis, and that will, which I do, that will allow you to be hypnotized back into your childhood or back into the womb or back into a past life. So you can address any of these ancestral issues that you are bringing forward in the moment that it happens.
Mhm. Mhm.
But when women work together in groups, we feed off of each other's energy.
Mhm.
There is an inherent trust that happens. And I remember my husband saying one time, he's like, women are amazing. You could meet someone and like 2 days later, they're your best friend
Mhm.
because we recognize a connection
Mhm.
that is a truthful, honest, reciprocal, I don't want to say attraction, but it is an attraction
Mhm.
with someone else who is of the like mind. And I don't know about you, but I can't even count the number of times I've met somebody and my first thought was, "Oh, I've known this person in a past life,"
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's like we've known each other our whole lives and we've met 10 minutes ago.
Mhm. Mhm.
S
Yes. So many times when you meet someone, they say, "I'm sure I've met you before." I
Yeah,
think that it's, our ability to synchronize our energy as well. It's,
yeah.
recognizing one another's energy, but to be able to synchronize it. And unfortunately, this is controversial, but we have, at least in my career, we were always told women do not work well together. I think it was one of those myths that was told to us to try to separate us from being so powerful, right? Because
Mhm.
when we would get together and we did work well together, we were phenomenal, like your husband said, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to bust that myth that, I still hear it sometimes that women don't lift the other women up and things like that. But they do. They do. They truly do.
They do, but you know what? There's also some times where if someone is more in tune with themselves, more in tune with their energy, and they're working with someone who isn't, there can be pushback on that.
Mhm.
So if you're working with another woman who is very anchored into her masculine and very
Mhm.
set in her way of thinking that you're supposed to work in a certain way, when you change that, that's when you see the conflict starting to happen because everybody loves a status quo.
Mhm.
And the beautiful thing with energy of any sort, there's a theory, well, not theory, there's a science called entrainment, which basically means that two energetic things will align with each other over time. So if you had two grandfather clocks, for example, and you set the pendulum swinging, over time, they're going to start swinging at the same pace in the same direction. Just like women, quite often, young women, if they live together, whatever, their feminine cycles will become the same.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that happens with women when you're working with them as well.
Mhm.
So you come in with a very secure, very calm, feminine energy. Eventually, the others will pick up on it
Mhm.
and will recognize it and start to entrain with what you're doing. And
Mm.
whoever vibrates the highest is who everybody is going to entrain to.
So, with the person who's vibrating the feminine energy at the highest,
Mhm.
eventually those other women will come to synchronize with that energy. And if
Exactly.
you have someone who is working from masculine energy, that masculine energy will change or stay the same, but the women are able to cope with it?
The woman that is seeing another woman working in her feminine energy will begin to adapt to it.
Hmm, interesting.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
it's all about the vibration, and whatever the highest vibration in the room is what everybody will
Well,
rise to.
yeah. So, tell me a little bit about feminine energy and masculine energy. Perhaps there's some differences, and how do they play out in our personal lives, in our business lives, and perhaps in the workplace?
So feminine energy, as I mentioned before, very, collaboration focused.
Mm-hmm.
Feminine energy is also much more laid back. Now, you have to remember everybody has to have both. If you lived 100% in your feminine energy, nothing would ever get done. And if you live 100% in your masculine energy, you do too much. You push too hard, and that's when you see people, men and women, but women more common, start to burn out.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, women don't recognize it happening in most cases. I've talked to a lot of people who said they didn't know it was happening until it was already done. They're already off work by the time they clued in. So when you're working in a feminine energy, you are able to, like I said, you work, I like to say smarter, not harder,
Mm-hmm.
because you're accomplishing everything your male counterparts are. Masculine energy is going to be very task focused. It's going to be very much a, move forward, let's go. We got to get this done. But when you're working as even as a supervisor, if you have a masculine based supervisor, there's going to be a lot of times where if there is a problem, there's blame.
Mm-hmm.
This is your fault. Your ass is on the line. You better fix this. Whereas if you're working from a feminine energy, it's more of a, okay, so obviously something went wrong. How can we fix this and stop it from happening again?
Mm-hmm.
So that is almost like the best example I can give you of the difference of them in the workplace.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a very good example. I've seen that, and I've actually coached that in workplaces as well. It's not, we're not looking for someone to blame. We're looking for the reason and the root cause of it as well, not just the band-aid approach, but the root cause. And to your very important point is not just correcting what happened, but how do we ensure it does not happen again, so that it does not suck up all our energy, right? So
Hmm.
yeah, I really like that explanation. So our third talking point is something very controversial. Okay. You'll be prepared for this. Women aren't the same as men. We
No,
know
they're not.
that. We know that. Explain how we think, act, and work differently.
So I like to say the sexes are equal, but not identical.
Okay.
So we can do just as much as they can. We can achieve just as much as they can. We just do it differently.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The sexes are, I mean, thank God they're different, because if everybody that was the same, how boring would that be?
Yeah.
First off, I mean, I would never say that it was a bad thing that the sexes were different.
Mm-hmm.
But you see the differences, not just in the workplace and like the examples that I've given you, but when you think of the home life, especially if you have kids, the mom is the caregiver. She's the one the kids, in most cases, not all, she's the one that they run to when they have a boo boo and they need, they have a boo boo, they need kiss to make it better, or they don't feel well. It's usually the mom that they want to get the comfort from. The dad is the one who's going to be playing the games with them and taking them to this, the different sporting events, doing the rough, like wrestling on the ground. They're much more physical in the way they show their emotions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they show their emotions through action, whereas women tend to show emotion through caregiving and touch.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you need both. You do.
Mhm.
And even if there is a same-sex couple with children, you'll find quite often that one has the one approach and the other takes the other approach.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that way the child is getting all of its needs met from both parties.
Mhm. Mhm. So, how do we as women address the pressure on us to adjust, or should we be expected to adjust the way we think, act, and work differently?
Should we adjust to be more masculine? Absolutely not.
Okay. So you said adjust to be more masculine. Are there some, maybe it's not the right word either, adjustments, but are there things that we can watch for, like where a blend of some masculine and feminine would be an advantage to us?
A blend is always the best way to go. You
Hmm.
have to have both. So, for example, if you're a woman in business, you need to put out the the content of what you're doing. You're on a project, you need to outline who's doing what, who's like what responsibilities are falling where. Here's the timeline, here's the tasks that need to be done, here's the KPIs that need to be addressed. You need to do all of that. But then what you that's your masculine.
Hmm.
Then taking that and working with your team
Hmm.
is the feminine.
Hmm.
So it's the blend of the two. In our case, when we're working with, other women, we're mentoring, we're coaching, that sort of thing. Designing your program, doing your social media posts, speaking on stage, running a webinar, all of the things that you have to do in the background, those are part of the masculine. The
Hmm.
connecting with someone like we are right now, that's more of the feminine.
Feminine. Yeah.
Um, Answering questions, having conversations with people, um, supporting a cause, giving your time to support something else. That is the feminine energy coming in.
Hmm.
So, as women, we need both. We have to have masculine, we have to have feminine. Men are the same, they just haven't figured it out yet.
Hmm.
They are run by their masculine, but they need some of the feminine too.
Mm.
And that is happening more, which is
Yep.
awesome to see, but it still needs to be improved a little bit.
Yeah, it is valued more now than it ever has been by corporations because and organizations because they do realize that they need that blend. Um, just to agree with your point is that if people aren't working aligned with their natural talents, they're not going to achieve success. If they're not aligned with the organization's goals, then they're not going to achieve success without a lot of struggle. So I think the wise organizations are realizing that having someone lead with that concept of doing it differently, we don't have to do it the way it was done 70 years ago. Let's bring some of the feminine in so that we are assured that the people who are working with us are aligned with our goals. And in fact, they can work on them because they fit with their goals as well, their personal goals,
Mhm,
rather than being opposite, right? Yeah,
mhm.
very interesting conversation. Um, so my takeaways here are, I've got two, but one in particular is just about what I spoke about now is understanding and harnessing our feminine energy is the key to aligning our natural talents and for us achieving sustainable success. Because otherwise, like you said, we will have some success, but we will lead to burnout, right?
Mhm,
So I think that's an important takeaway. The other one is that feminine energetics is not just a concept. It's like a secret or the secret sauce to stepping into your own power while staying true to who you are.
Yes.
So, Kelly, this has been such an inspiring conversation to share with our audience, especially the timing of it, I think.
Mhm.
Before we wrap up, I want to encourage our listeners to connect with you. I'm going to have the links to your website and your social media platforms in the show notes, both the podcast and on YouTube. To add value to our listeners today, do you have a call to action that you'd like to offer to motivate them to connect with you?
I do. I've actually just started a new collective of women. I call it the Feminine CEO Collective. It
Mhm,
is a membership group on Facebook. And that one is all about us working together, feeding off each other's experiences, and helping women that are going through inflection points in their career. So,
mhm,
whether that's going to be, a burnout, transition, a lot of women in our age group are going through transitions between empty nest, maybe revisiting career goals, planning for retirement, that sort of thing. Or
mhm,
if it's even self doubt,
mhm,
if it's someone who wants to move up, wants to hit that top level, but doesn't have the confidence to do that,
mhm,
I will be doing, bi-weekly group sessions in the group. I will be uploading a new hypnosis every month for people to listen
mhm.
to
Oh,
that will be designed based on what the group is needing at that moment, as
mhm,
well as, daily interaction, lives, that sort of thing.
mhm, mhm.
So, and they're welcome to reach out to me directly if they're interested.
Okay. And I did see it posted on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
So for those of you who are watching live on LinkedIn, take a look at Kelly's LinkedIn site. I think you just posted it the last couple of days, Kelly. Is that right? Because you said
Uh, yeah, I
it's
think it's Friday.
ah, good. So
Mhm.
good timing again. See how the synchronization's happening here with our energy?
Exactly.
So thank you very much, Kelly, and thank you to your audience and my audience, everyone who's listening today or watching the replay. If today's episode resonated with you, please share it with a friend or especially with a colleague who may be a high achieving woman. I'm sure there are many who need to hear Kelly's message here and be encouraged to lead differently. That's something that I picked up from Kelly's LinkedIn site as well. Her event is about doing it differently. And I just love that. I just love it when women tell me, I want to lead differently. I want to do it differently. And I say, well, let's find out how we're going to do that. So that's great. This video podcast is produced by Maestro Quality as part of the Executive Encore program and hosted by myself, Patricia Muir. Please subscribe to Executive Encore on YouTube and Spotify and wherever you get your podcasts for more insightful conversations and inspiration for transformation. Please add your comments. This is how you have your voice matter. So please add your comments, leave us a review, and share the episode with other women in your network. When you subscribe to Sunday Encore newsletter, you will be able to read more about Kelly, who will be featured in the weekly blog this week and the published newsletter on this Sunday, May 18th. When you subscribe to the newsletter, you will also receive access to resources and offers from other podcast guests, such as Kelly, that are available only to the Executive Encore members and subscribers. Please visit my website. You'll see my website in the ticker below and read my blog and follow me on LinkedIn. All links to access information about Kelly will be in the show notes. This is where your Executive Encore begins. This is where you start to live, work, and lead differently. So until next time, take care of yourself, do what's best for you, and don't jeopardize what you've built for yourself.